Hello students, welcome to the bridge course. In this video, we'll discuss about fluid mechanics. First, let us understand what is a fluid. A fluid is a substance that can flow. Only liquids and gases can flow. Okay, solids are not able to flow. So let us discuss some properties of liquids and gases. A liquid has no shape and size of its own. A container is needed to take a liquid. Liquids assume the shape of the container. That is, it simply occupies the shape of the container. Now about gases. Gases also require container. Gases expand enormously and can occupy any volume. For example, the air in this balloon. Hence, they do not have a definite shape nor definite volume. And because of these properties, the liquids and gases are together called fluids. So let's study fluids. So we start with fluid mechanics. So it is the branch of physics which deals with the properties of fluids under the action of several forces. And fluid mechanics is classified into two branches: fluid statics and fluid dynamics. Fluid statics, it deals with the various properties of fluids at rest and the laws that govern them. So in fluid statics, we study fluids at rest. Fluid dynamics, it deals with various properties of fluids in motion and the laws that govern them. So in fluid dynamics, we study fluids when they are in motion. Fluid mechanics assumes that every fluid obeys the following laws: the laws of conservation of mass, the law of conservation of energy, the law of conservation of momentum. So when we study fluid mechanics, we have to assume that our fluid assumes all these three laws. So what is law of conservation of mass? So it states that mass is neither be created nor destroyed, but is transformed from one form to another. And the law of conservation of energy, so it states that energy can neither be created nor destroyed, only converted from one form of energy to another. And similarly, the law of conservation of momentum, so the momentum can neither be created nor be destroyed. Okay, now fluid thrust, so it is the total normal force exerted by a liquid at rest on any surface in contact with it is called fluid thrust. So it is the total normal force on the surface, right? It is the total normal force on the surface. Then what is normal force? Normal force is the force perpendicular to the surface. Okay, so now the total normal force exerted by a liquid at a rest on any surface in contact with it is called fluid thrust. Now pressure in fluids. A solid exerts pressure on a surface due to its weight. Okay, we know that. How to calculate the weight of this solid, that is mass into acceleration due to gravity at that place. So similarly, fluids have weight and they also exert pressure on the base and walls of the container in which they are enclosed. Now the definition of pressure. So pressure at any point in a fluid is the fluid thrust per unit area around that point. Okay, so pressure is simply equals to thrust by area. Okay, yes, so pressure is a scalar quantity. The SI unit of pressure is Newton per meter square, which is also called as Pascal, and 1 Pascal is equals to 1 Newton per meter square. And there is another unit for to measure pressure is 1 atmospheric pressure, and it is equals to 1.013 into 10 to the power of plus 5 pascals. Now the pressure exerted by a liquid. So let us understand how the liquid exerts pressure. Liquids exert pressure on the walls of the container. Okay, pressure exerted by the liquid at the bottom of the container depends on the height of its column. So it depends on the height of its column, and in this picture it's clear that pressure increases with the depth, and hence the lowest jet is the strongest jet. So it is clear from this picture. pressure exerted by a gas. Gases too exert pressure on the walls of the container. For example, air in the bicycle tubes comes out when it has a puncture, and we cannot inflate the balloon which has holes because air exerts pressure in all directions. Now, atmosphere. Earth is surrounded by a gaseous envelope extending up to a few thousand kilometers. This gaseous envelope is made up of 78% of nitrogen, 21% of oxygen, and small amount of carbon dioxide, water vapor, etc., and is called atmosphere of Earth. The density of the atmosphere goes on decreasing as one goes above the surface of the Earth, and hence the atmospheric pressure is also starts to decrease. So let's understand atmospheric pressure. The pressure exerted by the atmosphere of the Earth is called atmospheric pressure, and it is maximum at the surface of the Earth because the height of that column of the atmosphere is larger and decreases as move higher. Okay, so if you as move higher, the pressure exerted by the atmosphere starts to decrease, and the pressure due to air is about 1.013 to 10 to the power of plus 5 Pascal at sea level. That's why we call this pressure as 1 atmospheric pressure, that is 1.013 to 10 to the power of 5 Pascal. The pressure P exerted by a column of height h of a fluid of density rho at a place where the acceleration due to gravity is g, then the pressure at that place is simply P equals to rho into g into h, where rho is density of the fluid, g is acceleration due to gravity, h is height of the column. Okay, and the example for this is the blood pressure in the case of human is greater at the feet than at the brain because the height of the blood column is quite large at the feet than at the brain. Archimedes principle. So it states that when a body is immersed completely or partially in a liquid, the apparent loss of weight of the body is equal to the weight of the liquid displaced by it. So let's understand Archimedes principle using this diagram. Here there is a body of 6 kg which is immersed in the liquid, and when you immerse that body in the liquid, its mass reduces to 4 kg. Okay, and this is because the apparent loss of weight of the body is 2 kg. Okay, and therefore 2 kg of liquid is displaced by it. Now the buoyancy. Okay, the resultant upthrust on a body immersed completely or partially in a liquid is called buoyancy. And now when a body is immersed in a liquid, two forces acts on it: the weight of the body and the buoyancy generated by the fluid. Okay, so the weight W of the body which acts in the downward direction, and the buoyant force W dash which acts in the upward direction. So the upward thrust in the liquid is called buoyancy. And there are three possibilities. Okay, when you immerse a solid or any object in a liquid, there are three possibilities. Okay, so case 1, if W is greater than W dash, that is if the weight of the body is greater than the buoyant force. So in this case the weight of the body, that is downward force, is more than the upward force, that is upward thrust, hence the body sinks completely in the liquid. And the case 2, if W is equals to W dash, that is when the weight of the body is equals to the buoyant force, and in this case the downward force is equal to the upward force, hence the body will be at any point inside the liquid. So this is called as equilibrium condition. Okay, because the downward force, that is the weight of the body, is exactly equal to the buoyant force. Now the case 3, if weight of the body is smaller than buoyant force, that is W is smaller than W dash, and in this case the downward force is less than the upward force, and hence the body experiences a net upward thrust and it rises to the surface, and this condition is called as flotation. Now the Pascal's law, it states that in an enclosed fluid, if a change in pressure is produced in any part of the fluid, then this change of pressure is transmitted undiminished to all other parts of the fluid. Here in this picture, the air is enclosed by this balloon, and if you apply a pressure on any part of the balloon, the pressure is distributed equally in all the directions. So this is Pascal's law. So it simply states that if you change a pressure at any point or any part, it will transmitted undiminished to all the other parts of the fluid. Now the application of Pascal's law. In a hydraulic lift used to lift heavy objects such as a car at a service station. So there is a picture here, and here the pressure is applied at one end of the liquid container, and this pressure is transmitted to the other end to lift the car. Okay, so this is one application of the Pascal's law. And the second one, in the working of the hydraulic brakes. Third one, in the crushing of oil seeds and extraction of oil from them. So these are applications of Pascal's law, and there are many applications are there. And now there are some questions for you to solve. Thank you.